I still remember the exact words he used. Keep it light, yeah? No feelings, no drama. Just fun. I nodded like an idiot, standing in his apartment at 2 in the morning, my heart already doing the exact opposite of what my mouth agreed to. I told myself I could do casual. I told myself I was mature enough, experienced enough, damaged enough to keep my heart out of it. I was wrong about everything. His name was Julian. I met him at a gallery opening in Brooklyn. One of those pretentious affairs where everyone drinks cheap wine and pretends to understand abstract art. I was there because my friend was exhibiting. He was there because he actually gave a damn about art, which I found out later when he spent 20 minutes explaining the symbolism in a painting I'd dismissed as angry red squares. He had this way of talking with his whole body. Hands moving, eyes lighting up, leaning in close like the words were secrets meant only for you. Dark curly hair that he kept pushing out of his face. A jawline that could cut glass. And this smile, God, that smile, crooked and devastating and dangerous. We ended up on the fire escape, sharing a cigarette neither of us actually wanted, talking about everything and nothing. He told me he was a photographer. I told him I was a high school English teacher who secretly wrote terrible poetry. He laughed at that, a Raoul laugh, the kind that makes you want to be funnier just to hear it again. You're interesting, he said, which felt like the highest compliment I'd ever received. We went back to his place that night, and the next night, and the night after that. By week 2, we needed to define things. Or rather, he needed to define them. We were sitting in his bed post-sex, in that vulnerable space where honesty feels both necessary and terrifying. I really like this, he said, gesturing between us. But I need you to know I'm not looking for anything serious. I just got out of a relationship, and I'm not ready for, commitment, labels, all that. I should have left right then. Instead, I said, yeah, totally. Same page. I wasn't on the same page. I wasn't even in the same book. But I wanted him so badly, I was willing to pretend. So we established the rules, no expectations. No meeting each other's families. No posting about each other on social media. No sleepovers unless sex was involved. No falling in love. That last one wasn't explicitly stated, but it hung in the air between us like smoke. I agreed to all of it because I thought I could change his mind. Because I thought if I was good enough, cool enough, sexy enough, he'd realize he wanted more. That he wanted me. Classic mistake. For 3 months, we existed in this strange limbo. We'd text every day. Funny memes, random observations, inside jokes that accumulated like interest. He'd send me photos from his shoots. A woman laughing in golden hour light, a street corner in the rain, his own hand holding a coffee cup with "thought of you" as the caption. We'd meet up too. Sometimes 3 times a week. Sometimes it was just sex, urgent, hungry, the kind that left marks. But sometimes we'd cook together in his tiny kitchen, arguing about whether garlic goes in carbonara. It doesn't, he was right. Sometimes we'd watch movies, his head on my chest, my fingers in his curls. Sometimes we'd just talk until sunrise, about childhood traumas and artistic ambitions, and the terrifying uncertainty of being young and queer, and trying to build a life that feels authentic. Those were the dangerous times. Because in those moments, it felt like a relationship. It felt like he was mine, and I was his. And the rules we'd established were just formalities we'd eventually laugh about. But then he'd pull back. I'd suggest getting brunch, and he'd say he was busy. I'd mention a concert I wanted to go to together, and he'd change the subject. Once, in a moment of weakness, I said I miss you, over text, and he didn't respond for 12 hours. When he finally did, it was just, drinks tonight? I learned to swallow my feelings like pills. I started to notice things I'd been deliberately ignoring. Like how he never asked about my life beyond surface-level details. He knew I taught English, but he'd never asked what books I was teaching or if I liked my students. He knew I wrote poetry, but he'd never asked to read any of it. Like how he'd check his phone during conversations, eyes flicking to the screen mid-sentence. Like how sometimes, after sex, he'd go quiet and distant, and I could feel him counting the minutes until I'd leave. I was falling apart, slowly, and then all at once. I started obsessing, checking his Instagram to see who he was liking photos of, rereading our text conversations, analyzing every word for hidden meaning, lying awake at night wondering if he was with someone else, if I was just one of several people he was keeping things light with. My friends noticed. My best friend Carlos finally cornered me at a bar one night. "You look miserable," he said. "Either make it official or walk away." "I can't," I whispered. "I love him." Saying it out loud felt like a confession and a curse. It was a Friday. We were at his place, and I'd cooked dinner, pasta his favorite. We'd had wine. We'd laughed. We'd had sex that felt different, slower, more intimate. He'd looked into my eyes the whole time, and for one stupid, beautiful moment, I thought maybe he felt it too. Afterward, we were lying in bed, and he was tracing patterns on my chest, and I felt so full of love I thought I might burst. "Jules," I said softly, "can I ask you something?" "Sure." "What are we doing?" His hand stopped moving. "What do you mean?" "I mean this. Us. What is this?" He sat up, pulling away from me. I could see the walls going up in real time. "We talked about this," he said carefully. "We're keeping things casual." "I know, but..." I sat up too, clutching the sheet. "It's been 3 months. We talk every day. We're basically dating without calling it dating. We're not dating." The words hit me like a slap. "Why not?" I asked, hating how small my voice sounded. "What's so wrong with me that you can't even consider it?" "It's not about you." "Bullshit. It's absolutely about me. If it was someone else, someone better, you'd want to commit." "That's not fair." "None of this is fair." I was standing now, searching for my clothes. "You get everything you want, the sex, the companionship, the intimacy, and I get to pretend I'm okay with crumbs." "I never lied to you," he said, and his voice was hard now. "I was clear from the beginning about what this was." "Yeah, you were clear. But you also texted me good morning every day. You also held my hand when we walked through the park. You also told me about your mom's death and cried in my arms. So forgive me for thinking maybe you felt something." "I do feel something," he said quietly. "I care about you, but I can't give you what you want." "Can't or won't?" He didn't answer. I finished getting dressed in silence. He watched me from the bed, looking miserable, but he didn't try to stop me. At the door, I turned back one last time. "You know what the worst part is? You made me feel like I was crazy for wanting something real. Like wanting to be loved was asking for too much." "I'm sorry," he whispered. "Yeah, me too." I blocked his number in the Uber home. Blocked him on Instagram, Twitter, everywhere. Deleted our text history, because reading it was like pressing on a bruise. I cried so hard that night I threw up. Then I cried more, because I was disgusted with myself for falling apart over someone who'd never promised me anything. The first week was hell. I'd reach for my phone to text him, then remember I couldn't. I'd see something funny and think, Julian would love this. Then feel the loss all over again. I'd wake up reaching for a body that wasn't there. The second week was worse because the acute pain settled into a dull, constant ache. But somewhere around week 3, something shifted. I started writing again, real writing, not just sad poetry in my notes app. I went out with friends. I said yes to a date with a guy from Hinge who was perfectly nice and perfectly boring, and didn't make me feel like I was begging for scraps. I started therapy. Turns out, I had a pattern of falling for emotionally unavailable men and calling it love. Turns out, I had some work to do on believing I deserved more than casual. 3 months later, I saw him at another gallery opening. My heart stopped when I spotted him across the room, laughing with a group of people, looking exactly the same. For a moment, I considered leaving. But then I remembered. I wasn't the same person who'd walked out of his apartment broken and humiliated. He saw me. Our eyes met. He made his way over, nervous, hesitant. "Hi," he said. "Hi. You look good." "Thanks." An awkward pause. "Listen," he started. "I've been thinking about what you said. About how I treated you. And you were right. I was selfish and cowardly, and I'm sorry. I waited. I was scared," he continued. "My ex really messed me up, and I thought if I kept everything surface level, I couldn't get hurt again. But I ended up hurting you instead, and that's worse." "Yeah," I said simply. "It is. I miss you," he whispered. "I miss talking to you. I miss us." There was a time when hearing those words would have made me crumble, made me take him back despite everything. But standing there, looking at this beautiful, broken man who'd taught me what I wouldn't accept anymore, I just felt peaceful. "I miss you too," I said honestly. "But I don't miss who I was with you. I don't miss making myself smaller to fit into your comfort zone. I know I don't deserve another chance, but... Jules, I interrupted gently. I hope you heal. I really do. I hope you figure out how to let someone in. But it's not going to be me. I could see the realization hit him. That I meant it. That I was really letting go. I'm sorry I ruined you, he said, eyes wet. I smiled sadly. You didn't ruin me. You just broke my heart. There's a difference. I still think about him sometimes. Late at night, I'll remember the way he laughed or the weight of his head on my chest or the specific shade of gold the sun would turn his skin. I'll remember the good parts and ache for them. But I also remember the bad parts. The anxiety. The constant second-guessing. The feeling of loving someone who was always halfway out the door. I'm dating someone new now. His name is Adrian, and he introduced me to his parents on our 4th date. He texts back immediately. He makes plans. He calls what we're doing a relationship without flinching. It's terrifying and wonderful, and nothing like what I had with Julian. It's better. Because here's what I learned. When someone shows you who they are, and what they're capable of giving, believe them. Don't wait around hoping they'll change. Don't set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. Don't mistake intensity for intimacy or crumbs for a meal. Love shouldn't feel like you're constantly auditioning for a role. It shouldn't feel like you're too much or not enough. It shouldn't require you to shrink or hide, or pretend you don't want what you want. Julian didn't ruin me. He taught me what I deserve. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is walk away from someone who makes you feel like you're hard to love. So yeah, he said no feelings, just fun. And I learned that for me, feelings aren't optional. They're the whole point. And I'd rather be alone than pretend otherwise.